Well, a warm welcome to the morning call. Tens of thousands of Algerian fighters known as the Harkis were killed after the French withdrew their support in their fight for independence. French President Francois Hollande said he recognized the responsibility of the French government in abandoning the Harkis and the massacres of those remaining in Algeria and the inhuman conditions for those who were transferred to France. Now, on the other hand, in 1999, former French President Jacques Chirac also acknowledged the 8-year combat that ended the 132-year rule of the French in Algeria was actually a war.
The Harki community in France has about 500,000 people, and it must be said that this community highly expected the statements from the French president. Two laws in 1994 and in 2005 had already talked about the partial recognition of the Harki drama. Two presidents of the Republic, Nicolas Sarkozy in April 2012 and Francois Hollande in September in the same year, had recognized the abandonment of the auxiliaries. But in Algeria, the French president's recent statements have not been taken well. One of the country's leading newspapers talks about a serious slip. Francois Hollande implies that the Harkis were massacred in June, July and August of 1962. The FLN authorities never authorized or invited Algerians or the ALN party to revenge the Harkis. This is what former member of the National Council of the Algerian Revolution, Mi Haroun, said yesterday. We now speak to former Algerian Minister Abdelaziz Rahabi. Hello, Mr. Rahabi. When we talk about the Harkis, it's a painful history and reminder between France and Algeria. What's your take on the French president's withdrawal?
Nous faisons également la distinction entre les Harkis et leurs enfants. D'ailleurs, je vais citer à titre d'exemple, par exemple, depuis les années 80, les enfants de Harkis sont gérés dans nos consulats.
We distinguish between the Harkis and their children. Since the 80s, children of Harkis have been managed in our consulates. They, like all children of Algerians, who are not children of the Harkis, obtain an identity card or passport and travel freely. We believe that we are entitled to expect an apology from the Harkis because many of them committed massacres against the Algerian population. It is true that there was some form of abuse in 1962 because the state was born. The French had planned to repatriate all Harkis. There was also a failure in their repatriation, but that is not the responsibility of Algeria. You know, there is an ethical and moral problem. We cannot teach people to betray their country on the grounds that the colonial authority wants to create heroes. It's up to us to create heroes for France. Well, Mister, is this page of history still strong, and what can we say about it today?
Pas chez nous, pas chez nous. Chez nous, on n'en parle plus, bien sûr, c'est pour nous enseignants ça.
Not here. We do speak about it. We do not even have it in our school curriculum. It's against the model.
C'est des traîtres qui ont trahi leur pays, chacun selon ses propres.
It's against the example. It's traits of those who betrayed their country, each according to his reasons. This is an election issue in France. It concerns the French, not the Algerians. This is recurrent. You know, on the 20th of December, on the same day of its return to Paris at 6 p.m., he received the Harkis Association was received from Algeria. It's an electoral issue that everyone is courting to become Franco-French problem.
Well,
the French president has talked about a massacre for those who remained in Algeria, and El Watan speaks of a serious slip, believing that there were no instructions for the Harkis to be killed. What do you think about it? There was never a political decision on this. There were certainly some decisions that were made in particular regions.
Il y a plusieurs catégories de Harkis, il y en a 4 ou 5, chacun a son statut. Mais il y a des Harkis qui étaient complètement impliqués dans la répression coloniale.
There were some who were directly implicated for the repression that was faced during the colonial period.
Pour le reste des Harkis, ceux qui sont restés en Algérie n'ont pas été persécutés. Ils ont fait.
Some of the Harkis who remained in Algeria were not persecuted.
Ou même dans l'armée ou dans la haute administration.
In the army and even in
Nous ne considérons pas cela vraiment
the
comme
authorities.
nous ne considérons pas comme des citoyens de seconde zone. C'est pas vrai. Ça reste un problème franco-français.
It's a real problem between France and Algeria.
Well, thank you, Mr. Rahabi, for joining us on the morning call. Mr. Abdulaziz Rahabi is a former ambassador to Central America and Mexico with Algeria.